Party, as she said, I was supposed to walk last year, but this time last year I was sitting in a hospital with I was completely paralyzed from the waist down, and the doctors were telling me I'd never be able to stand up, much less walk again. I caught an infection in my back, and it messed up the L3 and 4. So everything from last year has been a blessing to me. Because I died 3 times. It would have killed an ordinary person. I've been a fighter all my life, and I just got to keep fighting. So, I'd like to thank Becky Peregrine. I was a student here, and then I became a tech. And I always wanted to teach, but I just didn't have the heart to teach. But she instilled in me. She told me there's got to be something better I can do besides getting my butt kicked, because for almost 30 years I was a professional wrestler. And for 15 of them I trained professional wrestlers. And actually one of my students in that field is here to support me in what I'm doing now. And Mark Anthony, I know you're out there. There's a few people here that know what the word mark means in wrestling. And the guy I used to tell y'all about's here. So thanks a lot, Robert. Also, I want to thank my MediaTek family. In particular, Sir Paul Williams. Sir Paul came to the hospital to help me review for my finals. And he made sure I took my finals in. He went to hand me a calculator for my math final, and I just like, man, I don't need that. And he looks at me, he goes, what? I said, man, I don't need that calculator. I can do all this in my head. And his mouth hit the floor the whole time I was taking that final, because he couldn't believe I could do all that in my head. And the first thing I said is, don't you go back to the school and let people know how smart I am. Also, C.J. Wilkins. All the time, I'd spank him in chess. All the time. And the first time he comes to the hospital, he brings his chessboard, and he took advantage of me while I was on my pain meds, and he got his first victory. He said he's going to take it any way he can get it. So I said, all right, you can have it. Uh-oh, my sash fell. I can't go without thanking my wife behind me for putting up with me. Shelly would get upset because I buried myself in my work. And she always used to tell me I was up here too much. And then I started going to school, and she really got upset. But then I went from being busy to almost dead in what seemed like a week's time, and she's faced the brunt of my frustrations. Y'all just don't know. A couple of you know how I get when I get mad, and I just, yeah.
I live with you.
Especially that student of the wrestling field I told you about. He knows what happens when I get mad. He picked up one of my teeth that I actually pulled out in the match. He picked it up off the mat and put it in his pocket. So he knows how tough I can be and what I can do. And I want her to know she's greatly appreciated. And I can sit all day and thank people. From my daughter Naomi all the way down to Frank Alfaro. Where you at, Frankie? Anytime I got a problem, and I don't pray, he said, "Mom, I'm gonna pray for you. I'm gonna have my mom pray for you." I think if it wasn't for their prayers, I wouldn't be standing here right now. So thank you very much, brother. I appreciate you. And I want to go ahead and close out my film students. Can y'all stand up, please? Last year, when I realized I wasn't going to be able to walk, Becky was my boss at the time. She asked me, okay, so since you're not going to be able to do it this time, when do you want to do it? Because I could have did this in January. I said, no, I want to walk with the first class I started to begin my teaching. And I believe in anything that's taught to you, a strong foundation is what it takes for that tree to grow. Amen. A strong root. And believe me, these students have a strong foundation because I began with them. Okay? Amen. And Robert, would you please stand up? And that gentleman right there will tell you that not only in the beginning stages of me teaching you anything I teach you, no matter if it was wrestling or film or whatever, you're going to be able to use everything I teach you for the rest of your life. So congratulations to you guys. And don't ever let anything stop you. You always go forward. And don't ever let anybody tell you you can't do nothing. Because I stand before you right now being told I couldn't do it no more. Congratulations. And thank you. I got one more story for the students. Okay, you guys have a seat. Thank you very much. This gentleman over here, Mr. Gary Foster, me and him go back a long way. I was my last week as a student here, I got my first gig as an assistant director. And we used to tell this story to the kids that were in orientation, but he wasn't here during my, this class's orientation, so they didn't get to hear the story. So it's kind of cool you get to hear it now. My first gig as an assistant director, I still had a week left of school, so I was very nervous. I had been in front of a camera my whole career, as in pro wrestling and stuff, and I knew how to do things. But I always wanted to learn the other side of the camera, and that was my first time to be on the other side of the camera. And this gentleman walks in. Now you gotta understand, Gary's a little hard of hearing. So he was one of the last people to show up. He was running a little bit late. So I said, sir, are you here? Are you talent or are you an employee? And he looked at me and I said, if you're an employee, I need you to fill out some of this paperwork. He goes, no, I don't need any makeup. And to this day, I'm still trying to figure out how you get makeup out of doing paperwork. But what we used to tell the kids in the orientation is, this was my last week here. And I had a gig where I was his boss. And he's actually my boss at the school. He's a boss of over of the instructors, everybody. And that shows you that no matter what you do, you got to start somewhere. It's a small world. Your boss may be your employee one day. So you got to make sure that the toes you step on ain't the ass you're going to kiss on the way back up. And for those of you that know me, this is the most I've been censored. I'm sure I'm going to hear about saying that word. So I love you guys. Thank you very much. It's good to be back home. And congratulations, graduates.